Hello my friends and welcome back. Another beautiful Monday here. I hope it's over there also. We begin today's video with the chart of the Russian losses. I haven't shown it to you in the last two videos, and before I was in my honeymoon for 1 month. So over 1 month we'll take a look at it, and for me there's a big change in it. 1,180 Russian personnel knocked out cold, taken out of action. These are wounded, missing, and KIAs also. 6 tanks, which means they are not using tanks because they don't have that many of them. Russia doesn't actually produce new tanks. They refurbish the old ones. What it means is they take these T-60s, for example, and put some laser finders, some sights on it. They modernize them, and that's producing a new tank. Actually, it is a refurbished old tank. But they're running out of these old tanks, so only 6 lost. 31 infantry fighting vehicles, 69 artillery. Very nice. 69 artillery. This tells us a story, and I've seen the statistics. It is mostly towed artillery. Less and less of it is self-propelled howitzers. They have run out of the mass amounts of self-propelled howitzers that they had, and most of it, towed artillery, which they still have by the thousands. But it tells us a story that they are actually running out of working self-propelled howitzers. They have them rotting on the parking lots, but most of them are very rusty and eaten away by rats and the weather. Yes, rats and mice do eat the wiring inside the vehicles if they're outside on the parking lots. This is a big issue for the Russians. And rust inside the barrels is another one. Vehicles and fuel tanks, which is mostly connected to logistics, 68. Almost 69, almost very nice. The photo you see here, my friends, is Russian Morozovsk airfields, or more precisely, the ammunition depot or ammunition dump or pile, whatever you want to call it, in the Morozovsk airfield. When the full-scale invasion began, Russians just stockpiled their ammunition. Here we can see they have learned something. They have started to form gaps in between of the dumps of ammunition, and even earthworks are around them, meaning that it's difficult to destroy them with one missile or drone. You need several. Well, this doesn't save the Russians because Ukrainians used several missiles for this one. Look at it, all burned down methodically and one by one. The earthworks did not help at all. They should have been even wider spaces in between of these dumps, because I'm guessing the fire spread and everything burned to the ground. What really happened? More details have emerged in the Ukrainian media about the attack on the Morozovsk airfield. It is reported that 40 Ukrainian drones participated in the attack, with 18 achieving target hits. Russian air defense shot down the remainder. So Russian air defense actually was able to shoot down half of the drones sent to the target, but the other half did the job anyway. In addition to previously known targets such as munition depots, which we just saw, one Su-34 combat aircraft and command center were also hit. A devastating blow for the Russians. Now, my friends, we'll talk about the F-16s, because they are in Ukraine, and not 2, like we knew previously, not 6, but 10 of them. The appearance of F-16s over Odessa is symbolic in several ways. Additionally, it was reported that Ukraine had received 10, not just 6 aircraft, as previously reported in the Western media. The fighters have not yet been seen on combat missions, so it is not yet certain what armaments they carry, but what is known is the next equipment list on the F-16s. AIM 120 missiles with beyond visual range, ESIPs plus electronic warfare system, AN/ALQ 162 radar jammer, AN/AAR-60 missile warning system, PIDS plus Chaffee flare countermeasures. This is known, and there is more. It's like this top shop. But wait, there's more, but we don't know what it is. For that, we need to see the first combat flights and first targets destroyed. Then we can deduct what was used. This is about the F-16. Ukraine needs more than just F-16 jets. They need cruise missiles to be launched from them. The United States and Germany have no valid reasons for not sending JASSM and Taurus missiles. Ukraine has begun to receive F-16 jets, which will bolster their air defense and support a wide range of missions. Ukraine has begun to receive F-16 jets, which will bolster their air defense and support a wide range of missions. However, the jets are not being equipped with cruise missiles for launching. It seems that the United States is in the process of developing an affordable air-to-ground weapon, which is a positive development, but it would require some time. Regardless, Ukraine will still require modern cruise missiles for its fleet. The United States should send JASSM cruise missiles to Ukraine, even if the quantity provided is limited. These could be employed against high-priority targets. Germany has run out of excuses not to send Taurus missiles. Germany should send Taurus missiles to Ukraine and restart their production. It should have been done months ago. I do agree 100% with the geopolitical situation in Europe and in the world. Storm Shadow Scalp missiles, the French-British co-production of a very effective missile. This production must continue, and the Taurus production must continue. Taurus is not being produced right now. Taurus, it's one of the most deadly cruise missiles in Europe, and it's not being produced. It must continue. But we'll jump back a little bit to the F-16 topic, because Russian Air Force is probing the NATO airspace boundaries. If NATO will respond, and how will they respond, how strong and how fast is the response. This is why last night they almost flew, the Russian jets, fighter jets, almost flew into Latvian airspace, which is NATO airspace. They don't even care. Pilots did not respond to signals. German and Swedish Air Force intercepted 2 Russian Su-30 SM fighters near the border of Latvia. Such cases are happening more and more often, almost once a week. NATO aircraft intercept Russian warplanes in the sky. In this case, the Germans noted that the Russians' transponders were turned off and the pilots did not respond to radio requests. In addition, the flight plan of the aircraft was not communicated in advance, as usually the case for flights in the Baltic area. NATO air forces are expecting Russian fighter jets to communicate their flight paths in advance with them. Russia is openly at war with NATO, but NATO does not acknowledge it. How can you expect your enemy to communicate their flight paths with you? If NATO is expecting that, it's a little bit stupid. Sleepy democracies. Russia is at war, of course they will turn off their communications and responders. They don't want NATO to know that they're flying so close to the Latvian border, or if they're breaching the Latvian airspace. What did Turkey do? Almost a decade ago, Russian fighter jet crossed into a Turkish airspace. You have 3 guesses what happened. Turkey shot down the plane, that's it. Just shot it down. Push the button, missile goes up, bada bing, bada boom. Ever since from that day, Russian Air Force has respected Turkish airspace like clockwork. I wonder if there's a lesson in there somewhere. We can start shooting down these planes when they cross into our airspace. I'm right now in Estonia. Citizen of Estonia is my airspace. I would love for us to shoot down the planes that cross into our airspace from Russia. Of course, we're talking about fighter jets right now. Throughout this weekend, there were so many attacks that I again have to go back to a missile attack to Russian-occupied territory, Lugansk city, and this time Storm Shadow was used. I know you saw the title of this video expecting me to talk about the submarine. Trust me, my friends, we'll get there. It is the juiciest part, and I'll leave it after this story. But right now, Storm Shadows. They hit targets in Lugansk city, and it was a warehouse and a production facility connected to the Russian army. Russian occupation authorities spoke of an attack by 12 Storm Shadow missiles, likely an exaggeration, but the resulting fire was extraordinarily fierce, and you can see the photos right here. Usually what the Russians claim is, the Ukrainians attacked us with 1 billion Storm Shadow missiles, but we managed to shoot them all down, and the fires that you see happened because the burning debris hit the buildings. We destroyed 1 billion Storm Shadow missiles, which is the case right here also, obviously. Well, the Russians destroyed these Storm Shadow missiles with their factories. My friends, the moment you have been waiting for, look at this photo. It is beautiful. This is the Russian submarine Rostov-on-Don. It is a Kilo-class submarine which was given to the Russian Black Sea Fleet in 2013 or 2004. I might miss the year here, but it was a decade ago. Now, it is the last submarine able to shoot caliber cruise missiles in the Russian Black Sea Fleet. And now this submarine has been turned into a submarine. I always wanted to say this, meaning it has been sunk. What was used to sink it? ATACMS, of course. If you are American, pat yourself on the shoulders. Like, well done. This is your weapons and they're being used beautifully. Look at this hole. It's pretty. It is so pretty. Well, this submarine now joins the Russian underwater fleet, which also has the leading ship of the Russian Black Sea Fleet, Moscow. Submarine turned into submarine. This submarine cost $300 million. Yes, extremely expensive. And in addition to it, multiple S-400 air defense launchers were destroyed. If we see the reports later, it's going to be 4 launchers, which is another one of the most expensive weapon systems the Russians have, period, are submarines and S-400 air defense systems. And both of them were hit with the same ATACMS HIMARS. Beautiful, I love it. Good news on Monday. On this perfect news, I'll jump to a more dangerous topic. For me as a military blogger on YouTube, this topic is very extreme, but I cannot hide it because this war is not only in Ukraine, this is a war of 2 blocks. The Global South and the Western Alliance, the NATO and the free democratic world. The Global South involving, of course, you know, and I'll say it again, China, Russia, North Korea, Syria, Iran, and former Venezuelan dictator. Well, we'll go to Iran versus Israel conflict because right now Iran has leaked to the media that they are preparing, and listen to this, the largest missile and drone attack in history of mankind. Russia has attacked Ukraine with 150 missiles at the time. This is the absolute record. Even the first days of war, it was every day about 150, 200 missiles. Iran, in April, made a big attack against Israel with 300 missiles and drones, which Israel destroyed 98% in the air because their air defense is phenomenal. But now, Iran is reportedly preparing the largest attack with missiles and drones in the history of mankind. We're talking about over 1,000 missiles at the time, like in one time. They are trying to overwhelm Israel's air defense, which is undoubtedly the best air defense in the world. Now, Israel's narrative in the media is that we will retaliate strongly or even make a preemptive strike if Iran does not stop the preparations for the attack. Now, Iran is so bold because they're getting a lot of money from the Russians and a lot of technology from the Russians because they give Shahed drones by the thousands to the Russians. So this Israel-Iran conflict is enabled by Russia openly declaring war on NATO powers and the West. It is one big conflict. It is not disconnected, separate conflicts. It is one big war. This is how I see it. But now, my friends, I'll read you an analysis what Iran really is. An arch enemy of the United States of America and the Western powers. But how are they doing internally? How strong are they really? Or how weak are they really? This thread is short, but it gives us all the answers. How is Israel able to act in Iran, assassinating scientists and terror chiefs at will? How fragile is Israel? One map and the chart explains this and more. Iran is a patchwork of ethnicities, with 52% of its population being non-Persian, so 52%, over half of the population considers themselves as totally foreign to the Iran's government and being oppressed by the Iran's government. Each of the other groups would rather be self-governing or even be part of other states. Conveniently, for these ethnic groups, there are effectively open borders that link them with their ethnic kin. The loyalties of Kurds, Arabs, Azeris, Bolochs, Pashtuns, and dozens other are to their clans and ethnicity much more than to much more than they are to any Persian religious fanatics who have brought them to ruinous poverty. The Azeris border their homeland of Azerbaijan, an Israeli ally, and are 30% of the population. They have oil and want to be free. An Israeli ally, Azerbaijan, is surely waiting for the opportunity to help them. Look at this chart. Fully 45% are openly secular, irreligious, atheist, or agnostic. Another 8% are Zoroastrians, the original Persian religion that predates the Islamic conquest. Only 32% profess the same Shiite religion of the oppressive millenarian cult that has ruined the lives of 3 generations now. And certainly a large portion of them are Shiites, but have no interest in the loopy ideology of the mullahs. Pay attention to the images of the IRGC members. Note how they are almost all portly men in late middle age. They are original 1979 revolutionaries. They are not replacing themselves with a younger generation since, like boomers everywhere, they're hated. Now, I wouldn't agree that boomers everywhere are hated, but the point is good that the younger generation in Iran is totally disconnected with their government. They hate their government. All this makes it impossible for Iran to field a real army. They need the small part of society that is genuinely loyal to them to serve as a palace guard, to protect the 1979 revolution from counter-revolution. This is why they resort to deterring their enemies with the standoff weapons, missiles, drones, and mercenary proxies. It's all they can afford as a deterrent to the internal and external threats they face. To this end, they have destroyed the once functioning, if poor, states of Yemen, Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon, just to provide an external bulwark to keep the enemies at bay. And now 4 points out of this thread, very short ones, that give us a very clear idea of how fragile Iran really is. So now we know 4 things. Number 1, why penetrating Iran with spies is easy for Israel. Number 2, why the Iranian regime cannot field a real army. Number 3, why they love their rockets so much. And number 4, why the regime is doomed sooner or later. Now, if you haven't seen this plain statistics about the demographics of Iran and about the demographics of the religions of Iran and the ethnicities, well, this is where the answer to Iran's fragility, to Iran's internal weakness lies. They're not united, they're not strong, it's a facade, much like Russia. And while we're on the topic, then Houthi rebels in Yemen are funded directly by Iran. They are trained by Iran. They exist because of Iran. And the Houthis share photos today of the wreckage of what they say is the MQ-9 American drone in Sada, Yemen. It is a Reaper drone, and reportedly Houthis shot down this American Reaper drone with weapons provided to them by Iran. Now, my friends, I'll jump topics a little bit, and the topic is the freedom of press. This map shows it beautifully. Green is free, red is not free. I mean, obvious, right? Well, look at the list. 2024, the freedom of press. Number 1, Norway. Number 2, Denmark. 3, Sweden. 4, Netherlands. 5, Finland. And 6, Estonia, my country. So my country is the top 10 most free press countries in the world, with Finland almost a very similar country to Estonia. And most countries here on the top 10, as you can see, are Nordics with a former Lutheran culture, the Lutheran state religion. And as you can see, the least press freedom is in the countries that are the global south: Venezuela, China, Russia, Iran, Syria, and North Korea. Of course, the list is longer here, but this global south is fighting for their way of life, which is to take away the freedom of press among many other freedoms. We are fighting for our way of life, which is the Western values. I stand by the Western values and I fight for them. So this is not a war of Russia and Ukraine. This is a war, as I said, of 2 worldviews, an oppressive system versus a democratic free system. And it's strange nowadays because both systems are capitalist. Russia is fully capitalist. The war is not anymore about whether capitalism or communism, which one works. We all know capitalism works, even Russians know this. It is a different ideology nowadays, which they have. It is a neo-fascism, that's how I would call it. In this video, my friends, you can see the first clips of German Rheinmetall's Skynex air defense system being operational in Ukraine. They sent those systems to Ukraine and they look futuristic as hell. They look awesome. If I would have to rate air defense systems in the world, then by the looks, this one would win. And it operates in an insanely awesome way. Now, just based on the looks, I'm not a physician, but this is a drone swarm you can see on the screen right here. They fly, Skynex system detects them by the radar. This is like a very fast get through of this video to show you how cool it is. It detects them and they fly, and I want to see the explosions, come on. It shoots, and it shoots explosive tungsten ammo. Listen to this, explosive tungsten ammo. My God, that is awesome. And now the drone swarm, boom. Skynex shot like, and the drone swarm, all of it is annihilated. This is exactly what is needed in Ukraine. As cheap as possible to destroy as many small targets as possible. Now, before you go crazy in the comments, I know this system is not cheap. The ammunition is not cheap, but it is cheaper compared to missiles. It is cheaper. Now, my friends, for the first time in this week, my favorite part of the video, which is butchering the Buy Me a Coffee members. If you like my channel, if you really want to see me doing more of these videos, then become a member of Buy Me a Coffee, monthly member. Link is in the description below. I'll read you a few members that I took, that joined before I went to my honeymoon, because we don't really have much new members after I came back. The Tre Inc. Brant P. Courier, Randi C. Johansson, Gary L. Karper, @Russell 742435552, Tommi Naomi Tkiniemi, Mikael Brascher, Karl Skelts. Thank you to each and every one of them. Thank you for being a member already for 1 month. Link is in the description below, my friends. And now, as I said, at the end of every video, I'll show you snippets of my honeymoon from Ukraine. In this video, you can see a photo, actually. As you can see, me and my wife, newly-wedded wife, were walking amongst destroyed Russian equipment, admiring how beautiful of a job the Ukrainians have done with that. And of course, next to the Dnipro River is a beautiful place to get some cotton candy, destroyed Russian equipment right next to it, and some sandbags. But if you ignore that, it's a perfect place for a honeymoon to walk around. So we got some cotton candy. With that, I'm going to leave you, my friends. Thank you so much for coming back. Thank you so much for supporting the channel on Buy Me a Coffee. This allows me to do these videos for you. Until my next video, which will be on Wednesday. So after tomorrow, so be back. Slava Ukraini, and bye-bye.